and especially children. And you think that it won't be you. That's what they think. They think, not me. It'll never happen to me. It'll happen to you. I pray it does not. But you need to understand that you don't just go and leave your children with anybody. You don't trust anybody with your kids. And the truth is, in the statistics, the smallest amount of abductions or mistreatments or abuse that is filed, the smallest fraction is strangers.
It's usually somebody you know or know of. That's how it always works.
Whether people are offended or not, I let people, even that I'm close to, know I don't trust anybody with my kids. They can be offended, they can be mad, I love them to death. But at the end of the day, if I don't have to leave my kids with nobody, I won't. And people say, oh, you just live your whole life with just your kids and you gotta live. No, when I decided to lay down and have those children, they're my responsibility and they come first.
Yep.
They come first. So if you feel like I cannot sacrifice a night out, or I can't stop drinking, or I can't stop sleeping with random people, or I can't give up these things of my flesh to be able to serve my children properly, then I would encourage you not to have them. Because at the end of the day, God wants us to be fruitful and multiply. God wants marriage for us first. But God wants us to expand our generational wealth. But at the end of the day, if you're not going to create a generational wealth, if you're not going to create a generation if you're just going to create a generation that's recycling the curses and and a generation that is just creating more damage, then my question is, do you think that it's necessary to continue to perpetuate that?
To perpetuate what exactly?
Damage, trauma, just everything that we as people.
The concurring system of what people are going through with how they're raising their children right now. No, obviously that's why we're making this video. People need to stop, look in the mirror and say, I'm doing wrong. And I don't think there's enough people in general, like I would say across the board, there's not enough people who have someone next to them or someone across from them that says, hey, you wrong. You're wrong.
I do it all the time.
Everyone only wants to be around the people that says yes to them, or says, I understand, or I get it, or I understand you went through hard times. No. Now, truthfully, I would say 90% of the time, you wrong. 90% of the time, you're wrong. Because most of the time there's a better way. Even for myself, for us, I think about that. Like when we make a decision, or when I make a decision, after the fact, I say, oh, I could have done that better. Even if I thought what I did at that time was right? After the fact, I say, nope, that was wrong. I could have went about that better. And that's what a lot of people aren't doing. A lot of people aren't saying, oh, I could have done this better. They just say, it's good enough. And good enough is obviously not working, because our kids can't read. Our kids can't write. Our kids don't know cursive. Our kids read on a second grade level. You know what I'm saying? Like our kids want to dye their hair blonde before they learn how to read a book. Our kids want to get their first haircut. You know what I'm saying? Before they even turn old enough for their hair to develop. We're doing all these things to make our kids adults, but not raising them to be adults. You know, we're letting three-year-old girls wear skirts that you come up. We letting our boys wear pink before they even understand the concept of blue. So we're doing everything completely backwards, because we're trying to make our kids adults before we graduate them from toddlers to preteens, then to adults.
Run it back. So what do you mean by before they understand the concept of blue?
What I mean by before they understand the concept of blue, if you have a son, right, before you try to introduce him to pink, right, because pink is not a girl color, it's just a color, right?
That's associated.
It's associated with girls, right? But before you try to introduce him to blue, introduce him to the concept of boy. Blue is for boy. Why? Because you need to figure out what a boy is first.
You're talking about simplicity.
Simplicity, right?
Because children don't know how to...
Children cannot organize their brain in a way that adults can, right? Meaning they can't put a drawer here, 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 and a drawer here, and say, this is for that, this is for that, this is for this, this is for that, this is for this, right? Children have to go one step at a time. So before you introduce your son into pink, let him understand the simple concept of blue, and then cars, and then trucks, right? Let him understand the simplicity of being a boy before you try to automatically just jump him to complexity of the girl stuff, right? Of what is associated with girl stuff, right? And the same thing for girls, right? Before you try to introduce her to blue, let her understand and grasp the concept of pink, right? Let her figure out what being a girl is, what being a girl means, what all these things mean before jumping her to blue, before jumping her into basketball shorts and footballs. Before doing those things, let her grasp the concept of the simplicity of girls, right?
And I won't even hold y'all. I'm gonna just brace yourself, because I'm gonna just be real with y'all. All this gender fluidity stuff is the devil.
Yeah.
Y'all need to stop. Y'all need to stop and really look at yourself and ask yourself, why am I doing this? Why am I projecting a issue with identification on a child that's just trying to learn simplicity, like he's talking about, simplicity?
Yeah. You
want to instill something into a vessel that's not even anywhere near developed, not even a sexual being. And you want to orient them based on what you wanted. And that's what it is. Y'all can sit over here and try to justify these things, but God tells you that these things are wrong. Yeah. So you can look at me and Malik and talk about how, and everybody wants to do this. This is the problem with this generation. The whispers. Everybody wants to whisper, oh, that's wrong. Why are they doing that? Mm-hmm. And like Malik said, but then in front of these people, you're a yes man.
Yeah.
You agree. I had a friend ask me, what do you think about pink for boys? And I said, I don't practice that. You are going to do what you want with your children, but I don't support it, because at the end of the day, children need to be able to identify as what they are. Not what you want them to be, not what you think is okay, because at the end of the day, black and white is a simple way of raising children until they can understand complexity. The problem with y'all is y'all are trying to put complex subjects and complex material onto an underdeveloped brain, and not understanding why they have dysphoria, not understanding why they need ADHD medication, not understanding why they can't read, they can't write, they can barely speak. Oh, they're speech impediment, they're this, they're that. They're confused, and they have a lot emotionally that they're dealing with. So if I was dealing with a lot of emotional dysphoria and a lot of confusion, I might not say nothing either.
Yeah.
I might be looking around like, too.
Yeah, because like literally, that's exactly what I'm saying. Is you're putting these things on your children that you think that they want, or you think that they understand, right? Before they even learn how to read, right? You're telling a 3-year-old, a 5-year-old, a 6-year-old boy that, oh, it's okay for him to put on heels. How is it okay? How do you think it's okay for a boy to put on heels at 6 years old and he doesn't know how to read? What is the point of even grasping in that concept? He doesn't know how to read. You should be focused on, you need to learn curriculum first. You need to learn all these, you need to learn math, 2 plus 2, 1 plus 1, 2 times 2. And you're introducing them into stuff that has to do with adults before you even have the concept for your children to read, to write. You as an adult don't even understand your orientation. Exactly. You as an adult are confused within yourself. Exactly. But you expect your 6-year-old to understand theirs and to express it and to be content with it for the rest of their lives. Mm-hmm. You're evil. You're evil. And you have to call out evil when you see evil. Mm-hmm. So for everybody who is trying to whisper, and for your friend who is trying to put their child, their boy in pink and their girl in trucks and cars, for those friends,
speak on it. Because at the end of the day, we are no better than the people we surround ourselves with. We are no better than the people that we allow to do the things that we know are wrong. And if you can't speak to say, Tyshe, why do you continue to leave your child with a man you just met? Oh, he my boyfriend. Oh, you dead wrong. Like, are you crazy? You really need to, and that's what we lack.
Yeah.
We lack a generation of people. I feel, and this is not a factual statement, but I feel from watching my grandparents' generation, I was together for 40 years, I watched them critique their friends and critique the youth and critique, but y'all don't want to hear nothing. Y'all think that
you want to cancel somebody if they go against you.
And we can tell you we don't care.
Yeah.
We'll, before we ever blow up, before y'all, and y'all will see our face everywhere, and before that, we'll go ahead and tell you we don't support homosexuality. We don't support transgenderism. We don't support racism
of any kind. It's not just black and white.
We don't support your dysphoria with being a grown man desiring small children, or a grown woman desiring to be with young kids. Your pedophilia. We don't support the gray area of where y'all want to make the line okay.
Yeah.
So if you can't cancel us now, because at the end of the day, if you don't stand for nothing, you fall for everything, and we are wanting to ensure that the children of the next generation are able to experience something that is pure, something that God intends for you, which is a place of love. If you don't think that this is love, then you don't understand the definition of love, because your soul is on the line.
Yeah. And
when it comes down to it, we would rather you hate us but hear us than to love us and we lie to your face.
Yeah, exactly. Because, and I think, going back to the point you said earlier, a lot of people think that because my life is not that bad and I don't live that bad, that I'm doing good, right? But this person over here, they're worse than me because they live this lifestyle, right? Which is not true, right? I have no place, you have no place, no human has a place to put themselves on a moral pedestal, right? And the reason I'm saying that is because of what I'm about to say. A lot of people don't understand the concept of evil, right? What does evil mean? Evil means the misuse of the good gifts that God gave us. I'm gonna say that again. What does evil mean? Evil means the misuse of the good gifts that God gave us. That's what evil is. Period, point blank. And the reason I'm saying that is because if you misuse something that was meant for good, that's evil. Evil is not just, murdering somebody. It's not just It's not just the things that humans, dictate as evil. Evil is anything that was meant for good and we misuse that, that's evil. And we've all committed evil, some way, some form, somehow. But that does not mean that it should not be corrected. I need to be corrected, you need to be corrected, y'all need to be corrected. We all need to start correcting each other on the evil that we do, because there's a lot of things that are meant for good that we misuse. And one of those good things is what we're talking about right now, which is children. Children are a blessing. They're one of the best things that could ever happen, and they're meant for good. They're the reason why we can even make these videos. What do I mean by that? The reason you can make these videos is because someone had the children to create a YouTube, to create a camera, right? So children grow up to be something that can create something that we find useful, which is good. So the reason why our generation of children coming up is so important is because they're meant for good, not for evil. And if there's no one standing up to say, that's wrong, that's evil, I don't agree with that, then how do we expect to continue to develop? The reason we have been able to get to this point is because, like she said, the generations before us had people standing in front of them saying, hey, that's wrong to cheat on your wife. Hey, that's wrong to cheat on your husband. Hey, that's wrong to not call into work to tell your boss you're going to be late. It's wrong. All these different